Fabulous. Hello, my Blockhead beauties. It's your girl, that Wahlburgers chick, aka DJ Cyberdoll. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Life of a Blockhead Season 3. And today, my guest is Shana from London. Say hi.
Hiya, hi everyone from London, UK.
Awesome. So, okay, season 3 is definitely going to be all about BlockCon, but since it's your first time on this show, we gotta bring you all the way back to your adolescent years, girl. Okay, so my first question is, how old were you when you first fell in love with New Kids, and what was the song that did it for you?
Hiya. So yeah, I think this takes me back to the age of I think I would have been around 11 or 12, and I think it was roughly 1989. New Kids on the Block released The Right Stuff and Hangin' Tough, one after another, in winter of 1989, and in quick succession the both records went to #1. And I remember sitting in front of our TV, and my older brother saying to me, how comes you're into Tom Cruise and all the girls are into New Kids on the Block? And I think that's when the penny kind of dropped, and I thought, what am I missing?
Mm.
Um, and so I was quite a studious girl. I used to study quite hard, and I'd sit there in the classroom and listen to the chitter chatter of, what was going on with New Kids on the Block. And in them days, we had lots of teen magazines. So that's how it all started. I started saving up my lunch money that my dad used to give me, my pocket money, and buying magazines. Um, I never, in my wildest imagination, thought that the love of a band would evolve into this. Bearing in mind, although I lived in central London, I came from a really humble background, very Puritan, strict family. I almost grew up in a bubble. My father was very protective. So, in some ways, my love of New Kids on the Block was just something that was like my me time. It was something to go to in between studying. It was my it was just my alternative world, really, to studying. Um, the girls in my class, they absolutely were mad for New Kids on the Block, and I'd watch them on Top of the Pops and other chart shows. And I remember all the girls in my class went to the concert, and I think this was roughly the summer of 1991. And the concert tickets were £16. And I was just so scared to say to my dad, Dad, I really want to go to this concert. And, he was such a strict parent. So I didn't ask, I didn't go. My friends asked me, but I kind of said, no, I don't think I'm going to be allowed to go. And it was the London Arena. And I gave a friend of mine a little puppy teddy dog and said, can you throw this up on the stage? It wasn't the one that knocked Danny out. But
No.
I used my £16 to buy the Lynn Goldsmith book, which was this huge, mega big photo book of New Kids on the Block, which I still have. And I love the pictures in that book. But it took me a number of years to grow the collection. And when others moved on, two things happened. I stuck with New Kids on the Block, and I inherited other people's collections. So my collection of stuff went from tapes to CDs, books. I bought stuff off eBay. I still have that stuff. And somewhere in my will, it even says my New Kids collection will go to my daughters.
Yeah.
So it is quite a large collection, but I absolutely love the collection. So then obviously, I sort of grew up. New Kids disbanded shortly after nine.
Don't get
Yep.
Don't get ahead of me. Hold on one second. Let's bring you back a little bit, okay?
Uh-huh.
You did mention that you used your lunch money to buy the magazines and stuff. So am I to assume that your room was plastered with posters just like the rest of ours?
Do you know what? No, it wasn't,
Oh,
because I grew up in a bubble, and my dad did not like posters of men on the wall, because I was a, you know, good Muslim girl, and good Muslim girls don't do that. So I had posters of Kylie Minogue and Zanny Minogue, and I had one poster of New Kids on the Block on my door. It was a calendar. My dad came in and said, "Who the heck are these boys?" And he took the poster down. So it became my vice. New Kids was my vice.
yeah.
And I had loads of posters, but I didn't have them up on the wall. But everybody in the family knew that I liked New Kids. And then I have had younger sisters who were also on that journey with me, through me.
Got it. Got it. And then, so were you able to do like the trading cards, and did you stay up on Saturdays to watch the cartoons?
Oh, do you know, in the UK, not only did they have the cartoons, they did repeats years later at 6 in the morning. And by then we had a VCR, and I taped them all. But yeah, my sisters and I would wake up in the morning. I didn't have the trading cards until I was much older, and then I bought them off eBay. But I had Smash Hits, Big Magazine, Number One Magazine. I had Our Story, The Whole Story by their friends. Even years later, when our public library would get rid of their older books, I'd go in and find a book for £1, and I became the hoarder for New Kids on the Block merchandise. So I have tons of their books, which no doubt would be valuable now to any blockhead. But like, to me, they're my memories. And,
Right.
you know, like, I know exactly where I picked each book up from, which sounds really bizarre. I'd occasionally go into what you guys might call a thrift shop or a charity shop, and I'd buy copies just because they were sitting there, because they need a proper home. So I had multiple copies, and then I'd give them away for free to people, to like my siblings, or to people that didn't have a copy, who I felt should go and listen to Step by Step. So yeah, I just became a collector of, you know, all New Kids merchandise.
All things new kids. Oh my God, I love that story. That is amazing. And I love what I love about this fan base and the guys in general is that you will find fans all over the world. And we
Yeah,
will all unite when the guys come around. Otherwise,
absolutely.
I would have never met people like you from London or so. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love this fan base. So now, as a young kid, you said you didn't get to go to any other concerts or anything like that. Um, Most of us would like bedazzle our clothes and we would write on our clothes. Were you allowed to do that? Did you get to do that? I mean, I see what you're wearing now, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm having a midlife crisis here.
So you didn't get to be that. Yeah, show it up. Show it up. Oh my God, I love that. Well, see, you're bedazzling the NKOTB in the back. You got the buttons, you got everything. I love it. It is beautiful. Yes, girl, show that. That's what I'm
Very
talking
good.
about. Did you get to do that as a child?
So no. So as a kid, I guess it was just a different era. We're talking about the 1990s. I think people bought T-shirts, but I didn't go to concerts, so I didn't actually buy the tour program, or the you know, I didn't have the T-shirts as a kid. I bought those, I think, when I was maybe 18, 19, after the hype had died down, and as I say, when I saw them on eBay, or someone was giving one away, or so I collected stuff after. And by then I had a part-time job as well. So I worked in Woolworths. So I you know, had a Saturday job. I was able to you know, save my money up and buy the things that I really wanted to. I didn't really like approaching my parents to say, you know, can I have 50p or £1 because I want to buy a magazine. It was just either I'd you know, have less for lunch and buy a magazine, or not get on the bus that day. I'd, you know, walk to school and use that money to buy a book.
Yeah. So then moving forward to 1994, they broke up. How did that affect you?
So before that happened, I was 17 and New Kids on the Block came to London for the Face the Music promotion. And I was studying what you might call high school intermediate level. I was studying for my A levels and I was in the sixth form. And the rumour was New Kids were coming to London to do the Face the Music promo. And I went along to the Landmark Hotel in Marylebone, and I, you know, that there then there were only like 15 of us outside the hotel, and they came out on the balcony, and you know, it was, you know, not too far. They came out and they sort of looked at us and waved, and I remember Joe saying, "Shouldn't you all be at school?" And that was my first interaction with New Kids. And of course, shortly after Face the Music, they did split up. And I remember, you know, upon hearing that, being, I think, quite devastated, because by then I'd started earning money, but, you know, I'd not been to a concert. And I thought, gosh, you know, I've missed my chance.
Yeah.
But there was always the hope that Joe and Jordan would go solo, which they did. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, you know, I might not see the band as a collective, but I can definitely support the guys as individuals should that come. And of course, as we know, it took Jordan a number of years to get that album out,
So,
and for Joe as well.
and did you get to see them solo?
Do you know, and this goes back to something that you said earlier on, Raven. So prior to Jordan releasing Give It to You as an album and Joe releasing Stay the Same, the European fan base was quite active through the new internet. Um, we also had emails. So I was able to keep in touch with the European fan base. So we organised a Blockhead convention way before, you know, BlockCon, back in, gosh, this was in the early, I think it was the late 90s, early noughties. And the Spanish and the, you know, Dutch fans and the German fans came to London, and for some bizarre reason, the planned event disbanded, but everyone had bought their tickets to fly into London, so we met up anyway. And this is where I first got to meet some of the international fans, and have managed to keep in touch with them. So when Jordan and Joe did come back to London, and both came in 2005, I got to see Jordan on the TV show Hit Me One More Time. So I'm somewhere there on the front row where he was singing. I then got to, you know, watch him perform his solo night in the Hard Rock Cafe in September of that year. I got to see him in Liverpool in the famous Cavern Club, where the Beatles performed. And so my first one-to-one interaction with Jordan was back in 2005 when he came to Heathrow Airport, and a bunch of us decided to go and welcome our guy to London, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Got my, you know, stuff signed, and got some photos taken. He was very lovely. He was with his then manager Chad, and you know, we had a very brief exchange, and it was lovely. And the same with Joe. When Joe came to perform in 2005 of August in Islington again, I, you know, had a 2-year-old son, but managed to, you know, park my son aside for the night and went to watch Joe perform.
That is amazing. Oh my God. I love this. I love this. So now, do you remember where you was in 2008 when they made the announcement that they were getting back together? And did you believe it was happening?
So I think yes. So by 2008, I'd had my daughter Zara, and Zara was perhaps, I think she had just turned 1, and I recall that the website was suddenly active, nkotb.com. And so I was very active on the Jordan Knight website. I was quite active on the Joey McIntyre sort of, MySpace page or whatever forums there were. And there was a lot of rumours that hey, the NKOTB website's gone live, something's happening here. And so it became a bit of a trickle effect, like, what's going on here? Are they just selling merchandise? Are they selling their albums again? And so this very quickly trickled into, I think it was the This Morning program, or Good Morning America, which of course we all watched. And then the announcement about the block. And not only was it an announcement of the block, but ever since I was 11 years old, I had always wanted to go to a record signing. I just, even in the years when NKOTB disbanded, I was like, God, wouldn't it be a dream to go and meet the band at HMV in Oxford Street, where bands before had been with their album, got their signings. I don't think New Kids ever did that, because they were just way too big in the 90s that, the whole of London would have to have shut down. Yeah. But they were given away, I think it was, I forget, but I think it was 300 wristbands were being given away that morning that New Kids came to London to, release the block, and they were at HMV, and I got in there at like 100. I think I was number 165, but I left my home at 5 in the morning, headed down there. My sister met me there, and it's just that surreal feeling of, is this actually going to happen? And not actually believing that I was going to get in there until, as they say, until, the fat lady sings. But it was a bit of a surreal moment to suddenly go, hang on, is this really happening? Is this a, Donnie called it a one-trick pony? Is this just like a one-off? Or I don't think I could see beyond the block. I was just living every day how it was, and just enjoying the moment and meeting other blockheads.
Yeah, which is amazing too. So now you got that information that they were getting back together and they released the block. So did you anticipate another tour or even the cruise?
Oh, the cruise was like way, we're talking, that was 2008. I never, ever anticipated anything. I mean, the cruise is a pipe dream. First of all, you need money. Second of all, you need to get to America. And I live in little England, which is, on the other side of the Atlantic. I had young children. I just couldn't see the cruise at all. I was like, am I even going to get to a concert? So the block was released. I bought the block before getting to HMV, I think. So I had the block in my hand, met the guys, gave them each a hug, got my block signed. My sister sort of got the first single, Summertime, signed, and then gave it over to me, as you would if you're a good sister. And she was on the journey with me. She was my kid sister all through those block years. And I think shortly afterwards at HMV, they announced that in the new year, we're talking about September 2008, they announced that in the new year, they would come back and do a concert. And of course, that's again when the ball was rolling, and I was like, oh my God, I need to buy as many tickets as I can. And I bought my friend a ticket, my sister a ticket, my other sister a ticket. I bought my daughter a ticket, and I was so broke that weekend just buying my family members a ticket because I just wanted to share the love. And I felt like there'd been a bit of a drought, and I wanted them to share that journey with me.
Yeah, because it really is a journey. This whole
Yeah.
thing is such a journey. And the guys, they know this, and they give us 100% of themselves, you know. They really do. Like, they spoiled me so much. When I meet other celebrities, if I don't get the same kind of attention, I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they set the standard so high. So I'm just like, that's why I do this, you know, because I love them.
But I think the interesting thing is when they came to perform in London in 2008, the first date was the O2 Arena, which holds, oh God, I can't remember, is it like 30 or 40,000 people, or maybe it's a lot more than that. But the O2 Arena, you're like a tiny speck in a pool of people, and incidentally, it pretty much sold out. And I'm so pleased that what the New Kids then did was they announced that they were going to do an intimate gig at the Hammersmith Apollo. And as quick as the flash, I bought the intimate gig. And I took my daughter to the intimate gig. So she was only, I think she was fairly young. So we sat in the balcony, but it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. 3,000 fans in an intimate venue. They came up to the balcony during Tonight, which then became a bit of a, sort of something they did quite regularly, a bit of a pattern. I had I had alcohol spilled down my back by somebody, but by accident, of course. But I think the sheer euphoria that of like seeing Donny and just interacted the way they interacted with the fans. I've never forgotten that.
And you take that with you for your whole life. I know that for me personally, they have helped me through a lot of trials and tribulations in life. And that's been the same for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think New Kids is our happy place. It's like it's not my secret. My family know, because the only thing in my car is it's all the albums, or I've got Jordan's albums. I've got every single one. I've got the NKOTB, Backstreet Boys, to the point where I don't think my children know any other music. That's the only thing that's in my car these days. Well, not even these days, the last 10 years since I've been driving.
Oh my goodness. So then, all right. So then moving forward, they got back together and we've already enjoyed this. Now, they recently did the first ever New Kids on the Block convention, like BlockCon. So when you heard about that, tell us everything that you did in preparation for that.
Okay, so before we get to BlockCon, I did my first cruise last year.
Oh,
So last year was the very first cruise I ever did. And prior to COVID, Um, um, first of all, I didn't go on to the cruise for a number of reasons. First, it's America, it's in very far. I'd never been to the States. You always have this thinking that you need to hang out with people for the cruise. I don't wear a bikini. I was like, am I going to even fit into this sort of environment? So I'd not booked the cruise for a number of years. I think it was a year before COVID happened. A bunch of us friends sat in a cafe, and we said, "Guys, okay, well, should we go on the cruise in 2020? Let's no 2021. We have 2 years to save up for the cruise." And so we were like, okay, it was almost like one of those pacts. We all put our hands together and went, okay, it's 2021. And we started saving. And of course, lo and behold, what we didn't know was COVID was going to happen. The cruise didn't happen in 2019. In 2020, it didn't happen. 2021 went by. 2022 finally got on the ship. The ship was a party boat, okay, absolute party boat. What is this sensible woman doing on this party boat? Well, I will tell you, I had the time of my life. I absolutely, just had the most amazing, surreal moment with this guy, and with this guy, and never been to America before. I'd not, hadn't been on a cruise ship, hadn't been to a New Kids concert on anywhere other than in England. So, this was going to tick a lot of things on my bucket list, and it definitely did. Just, the energy that the guys have was amazing. Just I've done a few crazy things in my life. I've parasailed, but getting on that boat and not being seasick and being sane and remaining sane afterwards, it was just amazing. So after I came off the boat, a few people said to me, are you going to be on the boat next year? And I said, no, I don't think I can do it again. Just all the stressing over how it's going to work, and the anxiety over, because last year we needed PCR testing, it was a big thing. Are they going to let me into the country? So yeah, I said no, I'm not going to do that again, because mentally it's quite a big thing. And BlockCon, am I going to do BlockCon? I was like, no, I don't think I can justify spending more money on me when I've just come off the boat. And I was sort of following social media and BlockCon and the conversations, and you get sucked in and you kind of think, God, am I gonna miss something here? And so 12 days before BlockCon happened, I realized that people were selling tickets, and I was like, do you know what? Have I got any meetings this week? And my diary seemed to be like, the universe has got to work for you. I was meant to be on a conference that same week on the Monday and the Tuesday, and my manager didn't really give me permission to go to that conference. So I was like, okay, well, not going to go away to that conference. But my Thursday, Friday was clear, and Monday was a public bank holiday here. So do you know what? I, booked the annual leave, bought this ticket off a Blockhead, booked my flight, and that weekend I just did the research into like who I was going to share a hotel with, how I was going to get to WorldCon, and all the nitty gritty. And then I started designing the jacket, and like I've got a jumper here, which I kind of had sort of made, but bizarrely made back in December, not knowing that I would ever wear it. And I just packed it away. I just thought, look, it looks really good. Yeah, it looks really good. I don't know if I'll ever wear it, but hey, it's ready.
Yeah, but you made it and it's all yours and it's amazing, and it was meant to be. It was definitely meant to be. The traveling and everything I know can be very hectic, but then you finding someone to share a room with, that must have been scary too, because you didn't know this person. So that is a lot of the things that this fandom does as well. Like, it's basically leave no blockhead left behind, right? So if you're traveling alone, you're never alone once you get to your destination, because you're surrounded by so many other blockheads. So tell us what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, so prior to booking my flight, I knew, so we have a NKOTB UK website, and people had posted, hey, who else is going to BlockCon? And there were a couple of names there that I was familiar with. No, I think there was one name that I was familiar with, and I contacted that person to say, hey, hon, which flight are you taking? Because I'm going to fly out there, but I don't want to be on the plane on my own. I want to meet somebody at Heathrow Airport. So I booked the same flight as her, and she and her friend was going to be on that flight as well. So when I arrived at Heathrow, I'd found a buddy to, sort of go through immigration and stuff like that, and get on the plane. But also I thought, well, okay, when I get to Chicago, I've got someone there. I'm not on my own. I guess I could have done it on my own, but I was just sitting there thinking it'd be nice to be on that 9-hour flight with somebody, which was lovely. It was lovely. We just talked, about life, about Blockhead mania, about the cruise, and got to Chicago. And as we were saying about, identifying somebody to stay with, and I just want to give a big shout out to my blocky roommate who ironically, funnily enough, has the same name as me, right? So Shana. So she was my roomie, absolutely lovely, and she was introduced to me by my other friend Jen, who was in my cruise photo group. So this is how it became a bit of a snowball effect. Met Jen on the cruise. Jen then helps me find my roommate. Jen was also going to come to with her sister and hubby and with their niece to BLOCKCON. Unfortunately, they had a family illness and they pulled out. But they had matched me up with my roomie, and so I'd arranged to come to Chicago and BLOCKCON was going to happen. I was like, oh my God, where on earth is St. Charles? So I'd arranged to get a car lift with somebody to Wahlburgers. And then I turned up to the airport and my car lift sort of let me down. And so I'm sitting there panicking, going, oh shit, how do I get to Rosemont and how do I get to Wahlburgers? And I tell you that there's always an angel there somewhere. And I was in touch with Rafif, who is one of the admin and mods of the BLOCKCON FB page, and she had just landed, and she said to me, "Okay, don't worry, just hang on in there. We're gonna get you there somehow." And Rafif, like shortly afterwards, landed in Chicago. And do you know what? That journey, just the whole time having the other blockhead say to me, "It's okay, you can be fine. It was meant to be. This is how the universe works. You're here. There's a reason." Da, 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 da. And all that positive energy. I might have just panicked and sat there and cried in a corner, going, "Oh my God, the world's collapsing." But they really gave me that reassurance, and it was just really lovely and comforting that I don't know of another band that has another group of blockheads that are so caring, so lovely, so understanding. And Rafif picked one blockhead at a time from each terminal, and we had the hire car which she hired, and she got us to Wahlburgers in time as Donnie and Danny were leaving, and I managed to meet them, and get my photo taken by Donnie, and Donnie signed my, like, this is what I wore on the plane.
Yeah.
And so here he's got the little wiggle there. Donnie signed my top. So yeah, this will never be washed now.
Or worn.
But what was interesting was, like, I went to him and I said, look, just off the plane. And so yeah, he was very lovely, and Danny was as well.
That is amazing. Like, I love these stories. I definitely love these stories. So that was day one, because that was WarCon. So now we have Friday, which is when the con started. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so so Friday morning, actually, Shana and I were staying at the Hilton in St. Charles. She is fairly local to Illinois, so she was my tour guide. She gave me a tour of St. Charles. We went into Hotel Baker, where Donnie and Jenny got married. We kind of had a look around St. Charles, got something to eat, met more blockheads, and then we made our way down to Rosemont. I mean, just seeing, can I just say, I know, how old am I, but just seeing the new kid's face plastered on a electronic billboard, my jaw dropped. Had to take a picture of that, because all of a sudden it felt real. And we were staying at the Crown Plaza, and we walk in, and lovely Jessica was making, who'd made 2,000 beads, was there almost like as part of the welcoming party. And she and I, we recognized each other from Facebook, and she said, "Hey, you're Shana," and you know, she gifted me some you know, like bracelets, which I thought was really sweet. And you know, I'd bought her some handmade earrings, and you know, so it was really nice to just exchange, you know, these little things in life which are actually really meaningful. And people are doing this, you know, from their heart, making badges, and you know, just, you could see the love, right? So you know, new kids is a big deal, but just seeing, like, my jacket's nothing, just me walking around looking at people's clothing, their t-shirts, the craft, the love that goes into, you know, their tops, their, you know, just whatever they were wearing, it was custom made. We got to, so we chilled out, and we went and got our you know, sort of our ID, walked into the Rosemont Theatre, you know, sort of saw the displays, these empty boxes, with the Joe box, the Donny box. I honestly, I mean, no joke, I did not think the new kids would be going into their boxes. I
Yeah.
thought it was just something for the fans, right? You don't think the stars are going to come out and interact with you. It's a convention. They're going to be stay on stage, right?
Right.
So we you know, had a look upstairs. The jackets and the tour stuff was just amazing. It was like being in a gallery. I, you know, I was just mesmerized. Can I just say, I had no expectations. I had zero expectations. My expectation was that I would be in America for a few days. I would, you know, hang out with lovely blockheads, hopefully, and you know, and see new kids on the block on the stage. Did not have any expectations beyond that. However, you know, it just contrary to my beliefs. What then happened was really surreal. I
Mhm.
came down and Donny was in his Donny box.
Ah,
And Donny was taking photographs with fans, and you know, we queued up, got the Donny picture. Um, Danny was in his Danny box. You know, I think I didn't get the Danny picture because Danny had to then go off, and the queue was quite long. Um, but you know, you could see the excitement in people's face, and it just, you know, I think it's just that element of surprise. And wherever I went, I just felt really welcomed. You know, I didn't know how people would perceive me. You know, I visibly looked different, but nobody commented on anything other than the English accent and the jacket. They loved the jacket.
mhm.
um they you know, people in general, the Americans, so you know, you love the, you know, listening to people's accents, and you love talking about the royal family, so I got lots of that, which, you know, I didn't mind. And you know, it was just really lovely to catch up with people and meet people. And you know, I know people by their Instagram handles, but to actually meet them post cruise,
Yeah.
and you know, just discuss our love. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
So did you notice, because I know you mentioned the boxes and then you mentioned that they had all the clothing and stuff. They also had props for you to take pictures with, such as like the little stage with the mics. But my favorite, I don't know if you got a chance to actually do this, was the confetti booth.
So that confetti booth, I don't know if it was there on the Friday. I didn't notice it on the Friday, but I noticed it on the Saturday. But what I did was on the first day, I sort of interacted with. I think I went to the mic station with Shana. I took a couple of pictures. I got into the I think, is it a selfie light where, you know, you've got the BLOCKCON picture sent to your mobile phone. So I had that. And what I didn't realize at the time was that the next day that would be projected up on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you?
was it the next day or that? Yeah, I think it was the next day that was projected onto the big screen. So I'm sitting there waiting for the panel to come. And then my face is on this, huge cinema screen, kind of doing this, like the heart sign.
Yep.
And so that was great. But even before I talk about the panel, can I just say, for the concert, I was upstairs on the balcony, and I was like on the third row. That was my that was my first American concert.
Nice. Yeah, and it was special. It went on for about almost 3 hours. And for
Yeah.
some reason, Jordan, I don't know, there was something about him that night. And he was like really, really into it. The guys were emotional. Yeah, there you go. He's your favorite, right? Jordan is your favorite, or Donnie?
Um, every girl, whether she's a Blockhead or not, is a Donny girl. Everyone is a Donny girl, right? Donny for president, but actually not, because we want Donny for ourselves. I am a Jordan girl, but I think Donny's got all the values that I relate to.
Yeah.
So I bought Jordan a month ago from London, but Donny had to go home with me from BlockCon for my little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then did you also notice this guy walking around?
Yes, I got very lucky. I got a picture with, curious to know who was inside, but I got a picture with Mr. Block, yeah, with our mascot, on the first day. I was really lucky.
Well, I'm calling him Little Blockhead because there's actually a Mr. Blockhead, you know. So yeah, I know there's actually someone. He's kind of cool. He's really cool. But I noticed him and I was like, oh my God, they got a mascot. This is amazing.
I
So
I was I was really overwhelmed. I have to say, as whether I'm a fan or a professional career woman, I just have to say that it was put together really well. Um, I'm a, by discipline, I'm a project manager, but when I think about all the steps that they would have to have gone through to get where they were, and the way it all gelled, it could not be any better, um, at the Rosemont Theatre.
okay.
The concert was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think, there wasn't a dry eye in the concert hall at times when Donny sang "I Need You." There were very emotional scenes when Jordan sat at the piano. Um, I, it was just excellent.
And then did you get to dress up for prom? Did you get to enjoy that?
Yes, so prom was interesting because um, prom was very interesting. So before I get to the prom, can I just say, on the Saturday it was panel day,
Mhm.
and I did manage to meet John in his box, and met Joe in his doll box, and I was sitting next to me and Shana were sitting next to the girls from the "I'll Be Loving You" video.
Yeah.
And just I mean, they were the girls on the bridge, but just hearing their story was just amazing, and meeting them, just it's lovely to reminiscence. In the UK, we didn't have proms, so actually the New Kids prom to me was a bit of a novelty. I was like, what is this prom thing? I didn't have a bloke with me. I was hoping that Jordan would be my prom date, but I dressed up. I dressed up in an Asian outfit. I had a green dress on, sort of diamante, uh, uh, body, and diamond earrings and stuff. Not real diamonds, of course, but I thought, you know what, Shayna had gone all out. She bought us tiaras, and she bought us sashes that said "BlockCon Prom Queen 2023." But we got to the prom, and can I just say how beautiful it looked? Amazing. It looked beautiful. I was mesmerized at how beautiful and stunning everybody looked, like whether they were in their Converses or their high heels, or just everybody had put so much thought into it. It was brilliant. And I think the icing on the cake was obviously when the guys came out in their tuxedos, because I've always loved that picture of them. I
Yeah,
didn't have the poster. I had the trading card of the new kids in their tuxedos. And of
right.
course, I was standing right by where the limo pulled in.
Mm.
So when they came onto the stage, I got a good eyeful. They were brilliant. It was I kind of knew, you know, it wasn't unrealistic. I didn't think they would sit there and, you know, stand there and dance with us. It was just too many people. It's 4,000 people. So I did think it's going to be a bit like the cruise and the Lido parties. They're going to have stages in various places. They'll run from stage to stage. We might get to interact with them. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of got a few selfies with Donnie, John, and Danny, and you know that they were lovely. Jordan, I would love to have, but you know, I think he was you know, in his zone, and he was just amazing doing what he was doing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the guys, they're always hot. They're hot. In this age, they're still hot. So I absolutely love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so then you enjoyed prom. It was your first ever. That was a nice experience for you. You go back to the hotel. It's like, okay, now the next day, Sunday, they had a baseball game. Tell us about that.
Well, do you know what? I have, being British, we don't really have American football or baseball here much, and I'd never been to a baseball field. So whether new kids were there or not, to me it was a bit of a novelty. And to me, I was like, are they going to sing here? Like I thought, are they going to stand here and sing, or are we just going to have coffee and talk to them? That's all I knew, was I'm going to a baseball field. There's going to be coffee. Um, Got there, I was in awe of all the people that had worn their jersey. So I didn't have one, but you know, the sun shone. The sun was absolutely, it was, the sky was blue. People were in good spirits. And then the game started. You had fans that had been picked out from the crowd playing with the new kids. I had more fun than I expected. And I was really just taken aback by how sort of simple an event it could be, but how enjoyable and fun it was, and how comical and humorous the guys are. Like, I love that part where, you know, Jordan becomes Mr. Miyagi, and, or you know, and then sort of has the healing power, and Donnie is then able to, you know, hit the ball, and you know, sort of run around. So look, that it demonstrated to me that the guys aren't sitting in, you know, on some sort of golden throne somewhere. They're regular guys. They're humble. And you know, I loved John. I loved Donny's little gig with the Canadian taco girl, the girl with the pink hair. I thought he was amazing. They did a bit of a, you know, Latin dance. I thought it was great.
Yep, and they were what, the swingers? So you had the
Yes,
swingers
yes,
versus the
yes,
Canadian tacos. I
yes.
thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, whatever. It was cool. But then after that, we had to say goodbye, and then most of the people were packing to go home.
You
Or
know,
yeah,
well, I had a bit of an interesting story, which was, so it's totally surreal. So I thought, okay, that's the end of you know, the BLOCKCON. You know, Shana and I were a little bit hungry, and we were like, okay, let's go off and have an interesting meal. And we headed off into the mall. We took lots of pictures at the impact field with fans. We grabbed a coffee, and we thought, let's go off and have lunch. So we bought some lunch, and we sat in the mall, and you know, we ate. And And I honestly thought, because I'm British, I thought the new kids, apart from Donnie, who lives locally, I thought from the fields they had checked out and gone to the airport. Bearing in mind, Jordan had said, see you at the airport. So I did not, I wasn't thinking any differently. And I'd gone to the shopping mall, we had lunch, and we came out of the shopping mall. And who do we bump into? We bump into John Knight.
Oh,
And he's just standing there talking with his friend. And we're like, shouldn't you be at the airport? So he had delayed his flight, and so we managed to get a picture with John, and Shana was saying that she really missed her kids, and I was like, okay, well look, if you need to go home, that's fine, you can go, but give me 20 minutes of your time. Let me see if I can find some other girls that I can hang out with for the rest of the day and maybe for tomorrow. And so we were by this hotel, and we went there, and we were talking to other fans. And unknown to me and Shana, we did not know that Jordan and Joe had not checked out. And
mm,
within 30 minutes, we met both Jordan and Joe
nice.
outside their hotel. And and that was just the icing on the cake. And I got so a little bit of a story, but I got this signed by Joe. And the story behind this flag that you can see is, when I was that poor, humble 15-year-old, I made this. This is embroidery on a sewing machine.
Mm,
And I wasn't going to ever see the new kids, right? Because they like they live in America, and I don't go to concerts. And in 2008, when I met the new kids at HMV, I got John, Donnie, and Danny to sign this, and Joe and Jordan were missing. And so when I met Joe at the hotel, I got Joe to, like, Joe doesn't like autographs, but Joe he signed this for me.
yeah.
So I've got Joe here. I've got Doug Nichols on here, who's the director of the Hanging Tough video. And so I'm only after one more, and then this little piece can retire in the Blockheads museum somewhere. So Jordan, if you're watching, honey, when I come to find that autograph, this is why.
Definitely. Oh my God. That is amazing that, you went from being this little girl that didn't even think for 1 second she could even be in the same room with them, to actually taking selfies, getting autographs, and having the time of your life visiting America. I think that story is amazing. And so after all of that, most people went home, or some people came to the after party. So which one did you do?
So funnily enough, I would have gone home had there not been an after party. And once I heard that there was an after party, I made sure that I didn't leave on the Sunday. And so I came to your after party, which was at King's Bowling place. And I was up for it. I was like, if I'm going to hang out with some girls and, just have the time of my life, so yeah, I kind of turned up with a couple of the British girls that hadn't gone home. My Finnish friend, she joined me, and we came to the after party. It was brilliant, in the company of wonderful women. I take my hat or scarf off to you girls, because you were doing this from your heart for free, your service, the amount of preparation that went into it. The DJing was amazing. Met Law there again, who performed. He was brilliant. The Blockhead Angels project was amazing, which my roomie Shana was part of, in terms of coordinating that. it was fun. I felt like I was, 17 or 18, like I'd not missed out on my, sort of block years. I feel like I have gained hundreds of sisters through the block family. I don't think in the history of boy bands there's another group that has united so many people from across the world just through the era that we're living in.
Right. Oh my goodness. So now, if the guys were to ever see this video, because I say this in every show, I am not affiliated with New Kids Wahlburgers or anything like that. But if they were to see this, what would be your message to them?
They definitely defined my childhood. Just I remember Donnie wearing the peace sign. I've always tried to be positive, humble in life, be honest, compassionate, be adventurous, be creative, help others. I think I got that out of, their humble roots. I met Marlene on the boat last year, and I said to her the same thing. I said, just you were a huge inspiration to me. You were someone that worked in health and social care, and that's the field I went into. But you were kind of the first social worker I had ever heard of, let alone known. So I think the guys, they may not know, they may know, but they have reached quarters that they would, never knowingly have reached. I'm a Bangladeshi British female. What are the chances of them touching my heart? But they did.
Oh, well, thank you for being on the show, sharing your amazing, amazing story. I hope that you have more adventures and you come back and we'll talk about those as well. It was lovely having you. And for the rest of you, you already know who I am. Just hit me up. I want your stories just like this one, and just be passionate about it and just have fun with it. Until then, stay safe, stay humble, and as always, do it with me, girl. Lift up your arms, lift up your arms. Lift them all the way up. Stay fabulous.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you.
Fabulous.